So I'll count it off.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3.
Just let's go.
1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the rehearsal room. Nick here.
Aaron's here.
This time around, we're going to do a kind of a retrospective on albums that have popped up throughout our, for sure, Aaron and mine, time listening to music that have become kind of divisive. Aaron, do you want to kind of set the ground a bit here?
Sure. There's always those albums that come out from many bands, and it's happened through the history of music that, essentially separate the fan. That I'm no longer a fan, or I still like him, and even some, they gain new fans. Yeah. They become this, and I want to make sure and differentiate, for the audience too, is not controversial. It's not necessarily that it's, right. It's not Body Count's cop killer. That didn't devise anybody. You either liked it or you didn't, but it was controversial. I don't mean that. It's not so much that they did something controversial. 9 times out of 10, what I've noticed, at least in the research and some of the albums that I've been looking at, is like a lot of times the band appears to change their sound in a way that people just do not like and do not want to hear anymore. Yeah. And then others come along and say, not only do I like it, I like them even more. You know what I mean? And it becomes these kind of turning points, especially I think in underground music, because we want our, i.e. the change maybe makes them more popular. So that becomes divisive in some ways, or just the sound is completely different than what you loved about the band. So therefore it becomes almost the roadblock that says, from here on out, I will not listen to you, or from here on out, I love the direction you're going, keep going, you know? Yeah. And the big ones that I can remember, certainly in my more formative years of heavy metal, the 3 big ones that always kind of come to my mind, and I think appear on a lot of lists for these things. The 3 big ones for me have always been Sepultura's Roots, Wolverine Blues from Entombed, and Carcass's Heartwork. Ironically, both of those being released literally within like months of each other on the same label. And remembering how divisive those albums really, especially Carcass and Heartwork at that time, were like, what the hell for a lot of people, especially coming out of that underground. So just thought it'd be neat to kind of look back at now with 2020 vision a little more, now that we've been settled into these albums.
I think there is an appreciation of these 3 especially. Mm-hmm. People kind of look back and can appreciate what the bands were trying to do,
for sure.
And of course we have the gift of time.
Yes.
Where maybe some of our listening sensibilities kind of change a bit more, allow for what these bands were trying to do originally.
Absolutely.
Back then,
Absolutely.
30 years after the fact.
Sure.
Which again, everything after the fact is always, I think, treated a lot better than it is in the moment it's happening.
Although I will say, at least some of the ones I looked into, it was interesting to see the divide between critics and fans. Yeah. There were a lot of critics that very much loved the direction Carcass and Wolverine Blues went.
Sure. Yeah,
but fan-wise, it was definitely, a line in the sand.
I think, too, with the fans, especially Carcass and Entombed, these are 2 bands. Entombed starts out as a death metal band. Carcass starts out as a grindcore band.
Right.
And Carcass, I think, more so than Entombed, made more changes in their sound.
For sure.
Whereas Entombed, 2 albums in, and they become death and roll.
Right.
Know? And then that becomes a whole genre of music.
Which is so awesome, too, right? Not only do they change their style, they also create a style that now you have 50 bands that are doing the same thing.
Exactly, yeah. Which for me, Wolverine Blues was maybe not the logical progression from Entombed.
Sure.
But it's one that I for sure embraced. I loved all of their albums after the fact.
Right on.
I mean, Entombed especially is one that because it was always heavy, it was always still.
For sure. I mean, and again, like, I get it. If you just come off of Clandestine and you hear Wolverine Blues, you're definitely like, wait, what the fuck? Especially that was the single also.
Yeah.
So it didn't start with a real heavy song. It's a sludgy, you do also wonder, obviously he's always been a giant part of but Nick Anderson with the drumming and even guitar work he does, like on Clandestine, playing a lot of that. goes on to do helicopters and everything else.
Helicopters, yeah.
You do wonder how much of that is maybe going into his Entomb stuff too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
trying to bring those influences into that. You
That
know
is,
what I mean?
if you listen to any of the heavier stuff that Nikke was part of, like he doesn't shy away from letting the influences show.
Sure.
And whatever, because he's fucking such a tremendous songwriter.
Right. Yes.
Like it's you're gonna know when it's one of his compositions.
Sure.
Because it's gonna have the rock and roll shit in there, and it's gonna be heavy.
Right.
And exactly where it comes into play is the interesting part to like look for. But yeah, with Carcass, like I said, they started off as a grindcore band, moved up to kind of death metal, and then into the mellow death kind of sphere, which for a lot of people they got super turned off. And now it has hints of death and roll as well.
Sure.
But it's still very melodic because they
Yes.
use the twin guitar attack.
Which again, how much of that is bringing in Amont?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, did they bring in a second guitarist and go, wait a minute, look what more we can do with two guitar players now. You know what I mean? And you wonder how much. But again, though, I mean, with them, and I went back and listened to that album prior to it. Number one, I was like, why don't I listen to this more? Because this is a fucking amazing album. Necrotism?
Necrotism?
Yeah. I mean, there's at least 2 or 3 songs in there that if you'd have put it on Hard Work, I don't think they're out of place.
Yeah.
So the jump wasn't massive, but I guess it was enough for people. Again, I won't pretend. Carcass was a name I'd only known. I had not heard anything prior to that. My introduction to Entombed was the same. It was Headbangers Ball. At this time, Earache is now sold to Columbia for distribution.
Yep.
So it's a big deal for them. They were both, Headbangers Ball each got an hour. Entombed got the first hour and Carcass got the second hour, and they premiered both of those songs.
Yeah.
Wolverine Blues and Heartwork. And I was like, oh my God. And I ran right out, especially Heartwork, ran out, got that. And I have this to that day. I love Heartwork. But I didn't know necessarily prior to them. You know what I mean? But now looking back at it, you go like, I get it, but I also feel like of all the bands, of those 3, at least those initial 3, they're probably the least changeable than, like, Clandestine to Wolverine Blues. It feels like a giant.
It is a big shift.
One.
Yeah.
Whereas the Carcass one felt like, if you picked up their very first, Symphonies of Sickness and then tried to listen to Heartwork, you go, is this the same band?
Yeah.
But their progression, even I was reading too, their feeling with Necrotism was, we felt like we were actually being a progressive death metal band.
Right.
On that album.
Which
there are hints of that for sure.
There are hints of that, yeah. And
know?
I think, like you said, when they introduced the second guitarist, it expanded their sound.
For sure.
And they're, not that I want to explain it or reason it away.
Please.
But the way I kind of liken it too is like, you're getting some pretty fucking top shelf musicians in the band. So why are you going to limit them to playing?
Thank you.
What you've played before.
Yes.
Right. You want to be able to use their talents, and to their credit, Carcass did.
Yes.
They fucking said, all right, here's the sheet of paper, draw on it.
Yeah.
And they fucking came up with some killer songs. And even though you have what some might call like a pop death metal song and Keep On Rotting in the Free World.
Yeah.
But I'm going to wager anybody who hears or who goes to a Carcass show.
Sure.
And that song comes on.
Yeah.
You're fucking singing along. You're singing along.
Again, that's a great point too. I was listening to these albums all week. It's like everyone shines on Heartwork in ways dude, Bill's vocals I think are some of the best at that time.
Yeah.
You have the drummer Ken, he's doing stuff, his fills, some of his cymbal work. It's man, there's these little accents he's doing that are really, and it's just like, you're right. Why are we, and nothing against grind, it's just to say, why are we limiting these great musicians to just playing these bursts of noise when we can do so much more than that?
Yeah.
And also, it is, a lot of this too is it's always this juxtaposition, right? Of hey man, how can we make the same album 15 times? And then the band goes, okay, well we can do this. Oh no, don't do that. Why didn't you just make the album you made the time before?
Yes.
And it's I don't know. I will always embrace the band that wants to do something different.
Of
course.
Always.
I may not join you. I may go, oh, that's not for me. I'll see you later.
Right.
But I will sooner embrace that than the other one.
Same. I love when bands take chances.
For sure.
When they can take their music and add either instrumentation or composition styles that are different from what they've done, which brings us into the third one that you mentioned, Sepultura.
Yes.
So some people actually get turned off during the previous album,
No
Chaos
doubt.
AD.
Yes.
for them, this is the introduction into groove metal.
Right.
Because it is from
yeah.
from Arise, it is a shift.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Right.
Definitely a shift. It's not the same album.
Yeah, and
Just like Arise really wasn't Beneath the Remains either.
exactly, and that is also different from Schizophrenia.
Absolutely.
And that's different from
Yes.
from everything before.
To their
right?
credit, it's like almost every album stands on its own in a weird, in its influences and what
Yep.
it sounds more like than the previous or the one that comes next.
Right. So there is Chaos AD, which I think is the beginning of the shift, and
Yes.
then Roots kind of cements it for some
Absolutely.
people. Which I think Roots is a fantastic.
Oh,
fucking
I
album.
to be honest, and again, I have to be 100 here.
Yeah.
I did not pick it up. I remember going to Blockbuster Music. I heard it, and it just, I think at that time I was so ingrained in a lot of other types of metal
Yeah.
that I just thought, I'm not picking it up. And then the new metal thing was a little like, I'm not really that much into that either, so
Yeah.
whatever. And then I won't lie, influenced by others who were like, it's garbage, it's shit, it's better. But then I remember seeing them play like Attitude and one other when they played Ozfest.
Yeah.
And I remember going, wait a minute, am I missing out on something? Because these songs
Yeah.
are fucking bad. And I remember the crowd losing their goddamn minds. You know what I mean? Nobody was mad that they played anything from Roots. So it was just like, but it was just one of those ones as I progressed into my own metal journey, I just never went back to. And it's only been in the last 7 or 8 years that I went back to it and went, what a fucking idiot I am. This is a great album. There's so much cool shit on here,
That's
man.
the one. It's for when one of my buddies and my brother got that album.
Mm-hmm.
It still sounded just as angry because you have Max. He's
Yes,
still at the helm.
There it is.
Right.
There it is.
So this was also when they did the in-store at Tower Records
Right on.
in Monterey Park.
Nice.
It was still Sepultura.
Yeah.
Because it still had the 4 members that everyone associates with being the classic lineup, right?
Absolutely.
And I know there are other albums that some people out there might say, like, this is the album where they lost me. And that's cool and all.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest shift in Sepultura's career came after Roots.
Yes.
Where you have the introduction of Derek Green.
Yes.
And, admittedly, that is a different kind of direction they took the band in.
No doubt.
It's still heavy.
Yes,
It's
yes,
still
yes.
aggressive as
Yes.
hell. But the songwriting changed because Max and Igor left.
Absolutely.
So Andreas was a more musical person.
Absolutely.
And I think Sepultura became maybe more accessible,
Once again, I'll be 100. I know I've heard a few songs, but I have not listened to anything where I can honestly have an honest opinion. I'd like to. There's times I'd try, but I just... Max Sepultura means so much to me.
Yeah,
I just don't. I can't do it. It's like I've said before. There to me, it's the same thing like an Alice in Chains.
Sure.
I can't do it. It's not for me.
Right.
Do your thing. Congratulations. Continued success. I'm gonna be over here. And you do wonder, like, it is interesting because you see that separation, as you said, because not only was it tells me how much of a command of that band did Max really have, because they changed so dramatically after he left, and then he carried that on in Soulfly to a way that was like not even more so, but like continued with it. Like you can definitely do a direct line from Roots to Soulfly.
Sure.
So those things make total sense. But yeah, at the time, especially, we cannot say it enough. The influence of the new metal, though. It's there, but it's not a new metal album by any stretch of the imagination.
I can see.
And yes, I know he has the Korn guy on there and everything else, but like, metalheads so pushed back to new metal that it was like anything that hinted at it, especially from your favorite band.
Yes.
It was just like it had to be thrown in the garbage bin.
Right.
And I just think you're missing out because I'm with you. I think Roots is an amazing record full of tons of aggression. I love that, as the title suggests, they embrace their roots even more. Stuff that we saw all throughout their career, but definitely we're getting even more of that on like Chaos AD when they have the songs about the prison, when they have the songs about the tribe that killed themselves rather than have their land taken from them.
Kiowas.
Exactly. And you see all that and you go, now they're bringing in not just the instrumentation, but they're bringing in the tribes to play on the album. They're bringing in people from Brazil to be on their records and stuff like that. And that's just so cool.
I also think, and it's not necessarily that people forget, but like thrash is semi-political when it talks about stuff,
Yes.
Whereas Sepultura, originally they were more death metal,
sure.
right? And you can tell, they have.
But as they say, they quickly changed. What was it? to anti-cop, Antichrist to anti-cop.
Antichrist to anti-cop, right? Which it's still in line with the thrash that they were playing.
No doubt.
The social issues,
For
the
sure.
anti-nuclear fucking armament of the world and all that. So for them to move into an even more personal social commentary made sense.
Absolutely.
It made complete sense.
It really did, and you're right. Like that's why I say the biggest shift of those three to me is always going to be Entombed. You just when you look at what Clandestine and Left Hand Path wrought, and again, if you really think about what Entombed really should be credit for is they invented a sound, then completely did something different and invented an entire genre.
Yeah.
Like, god damn, dude.
And there are a lot of good death and roll bands.
Yes.
Like, there are a lot of great ones. And they're fucking heavy as balls. And when you consider Entombed comes from, like you said, Left Hand Path, fucking devil death metal, all the horror shit in there.
Yes.
And then they keep making, devil death metal, but with rock and roll tendencies.
Yes.
Right?
With
and
a good
it's
groove, heavy
good
bass.
groove.
Yeah.
It's all fucking heavy. He's still shouting and shooting he was shooting his snot all over the place. So, I mean, it's still fucking Entombed.
Yeah,
right?
but I do get it in the moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, you do wonder how much of the perceived. Once again, this is a topic maybe we'll speak on another time. Perceived commerciality by metalheads, that because Columbia owned it, now they're on Headbangers Ball. Now these videos, we're putting a lot of money into it. Remember, he gets Carcass gets H.R. Geiger to make their cover, and even his artwork in their artwork video.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they get Wolverine to be on their cover and in the booklet and the first video.
Without permission too.
Was it without? Okay, yeah. I didn't know that. I did not know. Okay, yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like, that's a big deal, dude. Like these are things where you go like, someone's putting money into my little death metal band.
Right.
So how much of that was also part of it and so on? Which again, that's a different topic altogether. It's just to say, like, I just remember how, again, especially somebody who was kind of on the outside of that, because I had not heard their prior material. Right. So to kind of like, hey, you like Carcass? I'm like, yeah, I like hard work. And they're like, lame. And you're like, what? Which I was like, but it's fucking death metal. No, it's not. You know what I mean? Okay, to me, it's
I remember
death metal.
getting those fucking looks when I would include artwork with the other Carcass stuff that I liked, especially at that time.
Sure.
Like, oh, well, you're the poser now. Like, especially at that time.
Well, and then, of course, please, I'm going.
Oh, I was just saying, because that's when I think there was so much of a shift happening musically.
Sure.
That, of course, you want the stuff that you looked at as pure death metal, pure punk, whatever,
yes.
right?
Yes.
It needed to continue because we saw the explosion of what became grunge.
Right.
We saw that hair metal was dying off.
Right.
All these scenes were kind of bouncing around and melding into one another, and you were getting a mixture of styles. It was a lot. It was a lot to deal with, right? And
no doubt.
for some people, maybe a little too much,
Yeah.
right? Which the passage of time allows you to go back, listen to these, and then you're able to say, oh, okay, I get it now. I was being foolish with hard work.
and I think sometimes also it is a sign that perhaps some of these bands were a little ahead of their time.
Sure. Yeah.
As we were discussing even prior to this, kind of looking at some of the dates of these things. Hard Work comes out in 93.
93.
So it actually predates what most people would say is the predominant melodic death metal album of all time, which is At the Gates.
At the Gates, Slaughter of
the Soul.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're 2 years ahead of it.
Yeah.
Like here you go, guys. I mean, and again, that's before Inflame and before At the Gates even thought to do it, and they do it in a masterful way. That album from start to finish is fucking amazing. So it's just one of those things. Like, you do wonder, and then of course, then there comes this whole next generation that doesn't give a shit. All they listened to was At the Gates and In Flames, and they completely became melodic death metal bands, and they thought this was the greatest thing in the whole wide world. That's a lot of it too. The generations come without all that baggage and go, I don't give a shit. It's a fucking great album.
I do remember, speaking of At the Gates, when Slaughter of the Soul came out.
Sure.
A lot of people were tuned off just because of how good of a production it was.
Right.
Because you listen to the two previous ones.
Right.
And it is a little bit rougher.
Sure.
The song structure is not as tight. Definitely not as melodic, right? So you get this very slick, very, I don't want to say mechanic, but very solid drumming on that album and all that shit. But yeah, it is a different band, and it is, I would say, a better album just because of the production, and And so yeah, so when people get turned off, now I can see like, okay, I get it why you don't like it.
Sure.
But since first fucking listen, I loved it.
I hear you.
I fucking loved it.
No, like I said, I think there's a lot of those where it's just, again, I those three, I bring them up because those were ones I was kind of living in the moment of those three. You know what I mean? We can point out a lot of other ones that happened but long before. We were both maybe a little deeper in the scene and stuff like that. You know, and there's plenty of albums that come out like that. I think the other one that certainly I think you and I share that I was reminded of is Danzig's Black Acid Devil.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, he's on a 4-album run there where everyone's like, here we go. All right, you know. And then Black Acid Devil drops, and boy, did he lose a lot of fans.
A lot.
A lot, you know. Yeah. I got to say, I enjoy that record. I think it has some really quality stuff on there that I do very much like, and I do return to it from time to time. But it was jarring. Another one that played Ozfest, and I remember him playing a couple songs. I remember he only played like 3, and somebody hit him, and then he left the stage. So I just remember when he goes, all right, here's a new song on the next album. And I thought, here we go. And it was just, and I was like, wait, what the fuck, or what is this? You know, Sacrifice was the single.
Oh, yeah,
and it was what the hell? What's he doing?
You know, if I get it. I get it, especially if you go expecting 1 through 4.
Sure.
And then you get the more electronic, dare I say, borderline industrial type stuff already. I get it, you know, because it is a big shift. It is a big big shift into a type of music that people are not used to, especially at metal shows, hard rock shows, right? But anybody familiar with Danzig's history, you know he was incredibly experimental in Samhain. Even in the Misfits.
Yes.
Even in the Misfits, he tried new things.
Yes.
I was just commenting on this earlier with, with one of the band guys. Earth AD turned a lot of people off the Misfits.
Yes.
You know, because it's not it's got its hooks and catchiness.
Yeah.
But it is a violent fucking album.
It's dense. You got to really cut through to get to it.
It is, as they say, a train wreck.
Yeah.
Crashing into an airplane, crashing into a whole pile of cars.
For sure.
Right? And when you think this is the Misfits coming off of Walk Among Us.
Right.
Coming off of like the horror business stuff. And then earlier the Static Age stuff. This is all the same. It's maybe not the same band members, but it's the same heart of the band, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes into Samhain.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, you're changing it up again,
Again.
you know? So I get it, like I do get it. There is another band that that I remember was turning off people like this, and this was Neurosis.
Yeah.
Souls at Zero.
Sure.
They had their hardcore punk crowd.
Yeah.
So when Souls at Zero comes out, and it's longer songs, the songwriting is a lot different.
Yes.
It's not the hardcore punk sound with the bass all over the fucking place. You know, this time you have 2 vocalists kind of screaming at you instead of just the one, and it does sound angry still, but it's just a different type of angry.
There it is.
It changed for them. It changed for them.
Oh, for sure.
For me, it made it better. Right?
You and me both.
I think that's where a lot of people were like, "This is where I stop."
For sure. Yeah. Well, they almost like planted a flag and said, "This is where we're going."
Yes. Yeah.
You can come with. We don't really give a shit. If
We don't give a shit. We're gonna.
This is where we're going. You know what I mean? And I think that's a real difference in a lot of the bands too. Is like some plant a flag, some experiment, some other. Neurosis like literally said, "This is where we're gonna go.
Yes.
We're never turning back the other way."
Right.
Whereas some went, "Well, for this album, I'm gonna try that." Because even Danzig, once that album was over, the next one, while still having some, was nowhere near what Black Acid Devil was.
Right. Yeah.
How or why that may be, that's we'll never really know, because he will never tell you that it was unsuccessful in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of people who I know who will tell you they love 1 through 4, but they've never heard anything since. Where I go, dude, there's some albums I think you should really give a listen to.
Yeah,
they're really good, dude. But people just won't because 5 turned them off so badly.
Yeah.
But and that is always the thing that you do as an artist. If you're willing to change, be ready for people to just drop you and walk away. You know what I mean?
That's something that I honestly respect a lot
For sure.
in artists and musicians. I mean, I can't tell visual anymore, but like musicians, when they take a chance and knowing that there is a big percentage of failure before them.
For sure.
But they don't care. I like that. I like that they take that chance and you get some good stuff afterwards. I think one of the classic albums that was easily probably one of the most divisive to this day, Metallica's Black Album.
Oh, hands down.
Right.
I think they, at least with my research, I don't know if there's a band who has more of them than Metallica.
Yeah.
You get, again, wasn't present for this, won't pretend I was, but you certainly read about this.
Yeah.
They put out Fade to Black, and already thrashers are like, oh, fuck them, they've sold out. That's a ballad. Then you're not thrash anymore. Which I just think it's so stupid. Especially when you surround it with Ride the Lightning and everything else.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care this is one song. The rest of that album is fucking amazing, dude.
And I will always argue Metallica has one thrash album, and then the other stuff is like new wave of British, right?
Yeah.
And I am one of those people who loves Master of Puppets.
I hear you. Love it.
But yeah, like Black Album came out and it turned me off,
And for me, I was cool with it. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite.
Sure.
I don't, but they're another one again. Black Album, clearly. People felt like they had sold out. This was far more commercial. Songs were shorter.
Yeah.
The production was crisper. It sounded great on the radio. They would tell you it's because Justice for All, they were playing those songs and the people looked bored. And well, you weren't watching me, motherfucker.
Right.
Because I was not fucking bored, Whatever their motivation was getting Bob Rock also pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah, for
coming
sure.
off his Bon Jovi record and Def Leppard, now you're going to do Metallica. You know what I mean? It's just, I get it. Everything around it, I totally understand. Yeah. I still enjoy that album, though.
I mean, I heard it enough times. I don't need to ever hear it again.
That for sure.
Right? But I've always told myself, this is an album they wanted to do.
Yeah.
This is not something that somebody put a gun to their head
No.
and say, you got to make the most commercially successful album ever.
No,
right?
that came later.
Yeah, right. And they are a band that has had many iterations of themselves.
Yeah.
Where people start at the Black Album.
Absolutely.
And they go into Load and Reload.
Yep.
And they're okay with that.
Yes.
Right? I am not.
No.
But they are.
That's where they lost me.
Okay.
Was the Load and Reload.
All right. I was already gone. I have listened to like everything that they put out since.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm the type of listener that says, well, it's not Master.
Metallica.
It's not the Metallica that I like.
Not the, there it is. They're good songwriters. They're good songs. There's even one or two that I enjoy, but it's not Metallica to me.
Right.
I don't care. By the way, one of the biggest myths too, I don't think anybody gave a shit that they cut their hair.
No, that was
That's such a ridiculous notion. That I mean, how many people? Oh, you're just mad because they cut their hair. Do you know how many guys? Like, by the way, if you like punk, guess what? Nobody had hair. So you know what I mean? Like, it's so ridiculous to even bring that up. It was the music.
It was the music.
They clearly were influenced by grunge and all the alternative rock that was happening at the time, and they did their thing, and that's fine. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
I'm not following. I think it's lame. I think it's garbage.
I also think like you become a commercial success with the Black Album. Mm-hmm. You need to come up with ways of staying a commercial success.
Metallica Inc. must make payroll.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So when they look at their contemporaries and then contemporaries, what's working for them is maybe these different styles, different appearances. Of course, it makes sense that they're gonna look.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
But again, this is all stuff in the 90s, right? Like,
yeah.
This is when did Load and Reload come out? Like
it's got to be 90 something.
Like mid 90s and like mid to late 90s, kind of.
Yeah, late 90s. It would have been late 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. I would almost positive.
Another one I want to throw in here, just because it's such a. This one isn't that much of a musical shift. Well, I guess it is. But the Misfits' American Psycho.
For sure. I mean, if nothing else, it's the purity test.
The purity,
is probably that divisive.
Yes.
Like, no, you can't like that. That's not the real Misfits.
That's not the real ones.
And I would argue, I'm with you. I enjoy those records. I think they're really good. I think they embody as you pointed out. The beauty with the Misfits is you get these different eras of Misfits.
Yeah.
This is a great combination of Walk Among Us with hints of the first one.
Static Age?
Static Age.
Yeah.
You know, there's no Earth AD in it. Not
No,
at all.
not at
because
all.
Jerry was never going to let that fucking happen again.
Right,
You
right.
know, but I love the campiness of it. I love the fun they were having with it. I loved, they were literally, it's like they just looked in a horror collection and just went, take that title, write a song. Take that title, write a song.
Read the
Great.
back of the movie box, and those are the lyrics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I loved every moment of it. And I think there will never be, in some ways, bigger shoes to fill than Danzig when it comes to the Misfits.
Yep.
But I think they found the right guy. Unfortunately, he
became
the
what
wrong
he
guy.
became. Yeah.
But vocally, they could not have done better in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and this is something that I know others share this sentiment where it's like anybody who has loved the Misfits before would love to be the singer that they selected. Anybody.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So the
Why
fact
would he
that
turn that down?
Yeah, exactly. Right. The fact that it was this one guy who's, for all intents and purposes, an Italian dude from Jersey. Right. Like, okay, cool. You're keeping it pure that way.
Sure.
Right. But you know, it's
But also, look, fair and square. They got the rights to keep doing the Misfits thing.
right.
They have every right. If they want to keep doing the Misfits thing, that's not me to tell them yes or no. It's me to
Right.
just buy it or not. If
Exactly.
you don't want to buy it, don't buy
If you
it.
don't want to listen to it, you don't have to.
Don't listen to it.
Right.
I wanted to listen to it. I wanted to hear it, and I fucking loved it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And there was for some generations, remember, including us, when you really think about it, we weren't around for the Misfits. We didn't get to see
We didn't.
them.
Yeah, we didn't get to see him. So
So-
when that lineup came around, I was super fucking
There
happy.
you go, man.
you know?
So
I
for
went
us,
to all
in some
those
ways,
shows.
that was our Misfits to
Yeah,
a degree.
yeah.
You know, we still love the lore of the old one, and we've been lucky enough that we've got to see them
got
back
to see-
together
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But at the same time, to pretend for a second that I was supposed to put that away for any reason, like, look, if they came out and they were some rap rock group called the Misfits, maybe I wouldn't have liked them. I didn't pick up Cole the Conqueror. You know what I mean? That wasn't for me.
Christ the
Conqueror. Sorry. You know, those weren't for me.
Yeah,
You know, and by the way, when he did it with like Balzac and all the other ones that it was like Jerry singing, like, I'm good. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, you gave it a shot. You put out 2 really good albums, and it doesn't seem like it's going to last. I'll be over here now. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But yeah, to me, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm with you. I understand why those are somewhat divisive, but no, I'm with you, man. Those are, I love those albums. I think they're fun.
What's another one that you jotted down?
Another one, and I know it's one that you and I very much like, Emperor's Prometheus.
Yes.
I love that record.
Yep.
I think it's fantastic, but I do get it. It's dense. It's very progressive. I believe I'm saying it right. Isan, I think is how
Ishan, yeah.
he wrote all of it.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at, and again, I think it, again, you've said this, and it's absolutely true. This 2020 vision that we get of these now, you know, if you listen to Isan's solo stuff, it totally makes sense why Prometheus sounds the way it sounds.
Yes, yeah.
If you only heard, the early Emperor stuff, all of which I love, you know that. Yeah, I get it where you go, whoa, what is this? You know what I mean? But also, again, good for them. Now, again, one of those ones that, at least with my reading, critics were definitely like, this may be the best Emperor album of all time.
Yeah,
Yes, it's dense, but once you get into it, holy crap. And yet, fan-wise, it did not do well.
I am one of those people. I have to admit, I love that album, but it's the one I go to the least.
Well,
I
I don't deny that it's the least, mainly because I am not I mainly like Welkin and Equilibrium. Those are actually the only 2 I don't mind the other stuff. I do listen to it from time to time, but of those main 3, yes, it is the one I listen to least. But I just think it's very underrated. I get why people don't dig it, but man, I think if you really give it a chance, it's fucking great, man.
I am a big time purist and fan of Into the Night Side Eclipse.
I hear you. I
It
totally
is,
hear you.
for me, it is, and I also have to kind of preface this by
Please.
saying I did hear the previous release that they had, so I'm very familiar with that version of Emperor,
hear you.
like
I hear you.
the more raw black metal version,
got you.
right? So I understand that Into the Night Side Eclipse has keyboards aplenty.
Oh, yeah.
The keyboards are fucking louder than everything on that recording, right?
Yes.
But it's just an atmosphere that they built on that album.
Yes.
And when Anthems to the Welcomes at Dusk came out,
Yeah.
it was a slight change, but
It
was a
became
good,
darker and a little more compact.
Yes. It was also a very tighter sounding Emperor for me.
Very much so. Yes. Yes.
The songs sounded a lot more epic in scale.
yes.
So I knew they was trying to what is it?
Kind
Stretch
of branch
Their
it.
Wings.
Yes, stretch
Yeah,
your
you
wings.
know.
Absolutely. Yes.
So that was great
For sure.
And then when you have after what's
Nine
that?
Equilibrium.
Yeah, when you have that one, I thought that one was fucking great.
Oh, yeah.
If they ended their career there,
That would have been no
I would
doubt.
have been fucking happy as hell. Thankfully, we got Prometheus.
Yes.
Which again, I loved when
hear
it
you.
came out.
I
I
hear you.
loved it. I had the CD when it came out and all that, but it is the one that I turned to the least
hear you.
out of everything else.
And understandably so. I mean, those other two are absolute masterpieces in
Yeah.
every sense of the word. And again, maybe some of that is also because it's primarily an Isan project.
Which
Maybe where if you had the other guys, maybe it would have been a different album in that way.
But I should say too, I do love Ishan's or like solo stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I love
I
his
think-
solo work.
dude.
I love Peccatum.
Yes.
You know, I love all that stuff.
I think
it's
he's a
fucking great.
super talented musician and an amazing songwriter in
Yeah,
every way.
yeah, you know.
And I think this was just, again, I when you go to that and then you go to the Adversary and all the other albums with him, you just go like, oh, it totally makes sense now.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? But again, that's why we're living in the moment of these albums. I get it in that moment. I
Sure.
truly
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
But man, do I love that record. And I just feel like, you know, how many people don't listen to it simply because they hear. They haven't actually do yourself a favor. I promise you, it's a really good album. And look, the other part, and I think we're seeing this with some of those, they're also going up against a reputation of these amazing
Of these
records in a
previous-
row
yeah.
that this one maybe doesn't hold up to in the moment.
In fact, I'll go from I think they refer to it as Nonus Equilibrium.
Yes.
I'll go from there to Zyklon to Prometheus,
Okay.
which Zyklon is a whole ass other
Yeah,
band
yeah.
that they had, and it's all Emperor guys, Samuth and the bassist Sectaman or whatever,
Right.
and Trim the drummer.
Right.
I will listen to that before Prometheus.
I gotcha.
You know, but I'll still give Prometheus its
sure, sure.
flowers. It's just a smaller bouquet.
I just feel like, I just one of those ones I just ride for, man, because
Oh
I
yeah,
just,
but see, that's the point, right? We'll agree on all these other albums. We still have albums that we'll disagree on.
sure.
I think another one we disagree on is Celtic Frost.
Yes.
For you, it's Cold Lake.
Hands down.
Why?
Well, I mean, to me, it's the biggest change in their sound. I mean, they became a heavy metal band.
Right.
To me, what I loved about Celtic Frost, those first three, if you know, I guess Morbid technically is an EP, I guess, but still, as Mr. Warrior would say, the first three albums. So I'm going with Mr. Warrior on this one. I think is just to see their progression from this kind of Neanderthalish kind of thing all the time into what they started to do in I can't think of the next album, you know, and then into the Pandemonium where they really got experimental, and you always knew they were a band that was looking outside of metal for dark and interesting influences. And I love what they do with Into the Pandemonium. I can understand. I mean, the fact that it opens with Mexican radio, that alone, I can understand why people went, what the fuck is going on here? But I do think if you're open to the Celtic Frost sound, then you're willing to kind of go along with that ride. Where when Cold Lake comes after Into the Pandemonium, it's just like, first of all, the visual, which makes everybody think it's a glam metal album, which it's not. If you listen to it, it's actually just a standard metal record.
Sure.
The visual, for sure. I don't know what the fuck was going on there with the teased hair and the pubic hair on the front and the back cover and all that other craziness that they were going on with. But I just feel, for me, and again, this is because of what I like or what I like from the band.
Yeah.
I just find where Cold Lake, which is more to say, I understand it more with Cold Lake than I understand it from Into the Pandemonium. I get where people could go, whoa, I'm off the train now with Into Pandemonium.
Into the Pandemonium is where I stopped that
I gotcha.
train. I pulled the lever and I jumped off. Yeah, and I kept staying off.
I hear you.
When Cold Lake came around,
For sure. Which, again, and then Vanity Nemesis, I ride for. I think it's a very good
I love
record.
that album.
I think
love
it's fantastic.
Vanity
It was a little more,
Nemesis.
and wasn't a return to form if you think about Into the Pandemonium.
Right.
Like it became more thrashy on
Yes, yeah,
Vanity
yeah.
Nemesis, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But
I actually picked up kind of hints of Hellhammer almost, like in Vanity Nemesis.
Sure.
You know, and I but this is the thing, like I loved Hellhammer, I loved Celtic Frost,
I hear
and
you.
I loved Triptychon.
I hear you.
Right? So
I hear you.
I
Same.
am very open to the progression
I hear you.
in Mr. Thomas G. Warrior's intents.
For sure.
When I first heard Into the Pandemonium and just the vocal styles alone, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, dude? Like,
And
I
again-
can hear musically, it's what Celtic Frost is.
Sure.
I will never say that.
I hear you.
But when the delivery of what you're going for isn't hitting as hard,
I hear you.
you know, as some of the other stuff, I'm gonna stop. You know, I'm just gonna be like, I can't get into this.
I think they have always been one of those bands, and it's not to say they're not talented.
Sure.
I think their influences and the things they wanted to do far exceeded their ability sometimes.
Sure, I can see
But
that.
they were always willing to try.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about them. Into the Pandemonium, probably To Make a Theron, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Probably, if I'm being honest, doesn't get as many plays as obviously Morbid and Into the Pandemonium and To Make a Theron, no doubt about it. But every time I put it on, I appreciate it for what it is, and I really, really enjoy it. But as we're finding out, there's a lot of these, even Entombed, I had to go to it because I wanted to, Same Difference.
I love.
See, now
album.
that's another one. Like, so you had Wolverine Blues that everybody pissed and moaned about, but then everybody got used to it and goes, okay, they're going to Shoot to Ride. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And then Same Difference, and everybody, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
Because it feels like more of a stoner album. There's almost like essentially more of the rock influence.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
first one without Anderson.
Anderson. Yeah.
So how much of that is an influence? How much of that is changing the sound? I think that's another thing to always look at too. Is like when you start losing key members, how can that not change your sound? How
For
can that
sure.
not
Yeah,
change
yeah.
the way you're going to sound?
Yeah, it's funny. When Same Difference came out, I remember getting it, and I'm like, did they get fucking Tom Araya as their vocalist now?
Dude.
Because he sounds just like fucking Tom Araya.
Yeah, it sounds different than, which again, you feel like, okay, didn't we settle on a death and roll? Like, guys, what are you doing to me?
But that's also one where, and I know somebody out there who might be listening to this is like, what a fucking hypocrite. You just said you didn't like it in Celtic Frost, but and I'm trying to stay as true to what I'm saying is where I
absolutely.
appreciate the fact that the band themselves were like, we did this and
Yeah.
let's twist the knobs a little bit more and see what we
I
can
hear
get
you.
out of this, And
we said it before. I can appreciate a band trying something new. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean I have to like it.
right. Totally.
You know, when Opeth decides to stop doing death metal vocals, hey, congratulations, do your thing. I'm sure those albums sound really good, but that's not why I tuned in.
Right. Yeah,
And the only reason I'm back is because you brought the death metal vocals back.
Yeah.
Cool. Now I'm back. I can appreciate that nonetheless. It's just, but if you go in a direction that's just, sorry, no problem. I still praise that. I want you to do that,
Yeah.
And another one that you bring up, which I think is one I believe you enjoy, I do not. We just brought up Tom Araya, Slayer.
Slayer.
Diabolus in Musica.
Diabolus and Musica. Yeah.
It's the only Slayer album I don't own up until when Henneman died. I rarely ever listened to it. I didn't like it when I bought it. I could not. I tried to listen to it today. I got to about 5 or 6 songs and just went, yeah, I can't. I don't know. I don't want to say a lot of what, this is the part that hurts my heart because as much as I love Henneman, when people are like, Henneman's the greatest part about that band, I always go, really? Because the one album he wrote almost exclusively is this one.
Yeah.
So before we go etching the man in stone, let's not forget what he did when he was left to his own devices.
I like Hanneman as a team player.
We have discussed this. I think I've said this to you before. Some of my favorite Slayer is when Carey and Henneman write together and Araya does the lyrics.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is some of the best songs they ever put out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But look, and I love Henneman. It's just to say, look, Carey has said, that's probably the one album I wasn't paying that much attention to, and I should have paid a little bit more attention to. Now, I also read Paul Bostoff and Tom Araya. They love that album.
Yeah.
Paul Bostoff says that's probably the most progressive we ever got as a band. Tom Araya thinks it's very underrated, and it may be. I just, again, trying to listen to it again today, there's 2 or 3 songs that I go, that sounds like Slayer. And then there's others, I don't know who that is. That does not sound like Slayer to me. And some of the praise that they got from some critics was Slayer. And Henneman, I believe, spoke to this, and so did Carey. It was Slayer trying to figure out, how can we be Slayer in this new world of metal, i.e. new metal?
Right.
Korn and Limp Bizkit and Deftones have all taken over.
Yeah.
How do we fit in here? And I think the part is just be Slayer, which they went back to after that album and realized, fuck that, we don't have to be them, we can just be Slayer, you know. But it is an album that, again, has 2 or 3 songs that I do not hate, but I do not like that album at all. That one really divided me.
I kind of take Slayer as a from beginning to end kind of thing, you know. Even with the punk cover album, The Undisputed Attitude.
Yeah.
One of my absolute favorite Slayer albums is what's the fucking one?
Oh, I know. Paul's first one, right?
His first.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't think of it. But...
This is don't get old, guys, because.
Damn it. I'm gonna look it up because otherwise it's gonna drive me into Serenity and Murders on it. You know, all
the Killing Fields.
Killing Fields. There's so many fucking great. And again, you're right. That one was a little Divine Intervention.
Divine Intervention.
There was some divisiveness on that, which I think a lot of it was, oh my God, Dave's gone. What are we gonna do?
That's one of the things. You lose a core member,
no doubt,
right? And then you bring in Paul Bostaph. But I thought when Divine Intervention came out, they retained their kind of like the musicality of what made Slayer Slayer.
To me, it was almost like not just because Dave leaves, but it introduced a new era of Slayer.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't sound exactly like Seasons, or it didn't sound exactly like Rain and Blood and all that other thing, but it's still Slayer. But there was a new production style. There was a different style of songwriting that I thought was like, this is fucking amazing. I think this album is fantastic. I've never understood anyone who hates on the Divine Intervention. But then again, there are people who don't like Seasons, which I'm like,
that is true.
Who are you? Yeah. But then reading also, there was even a little backlash on fucking South of Heaven.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess coming off of Rain and Blood, I kind of understand. You're like, where's my 32 minutes of thrash?
I know folks who stop at like Haunting the Chapel.
Oh, come on.
You know? So I get it because it's all part of a time when they were fully into that particular style of Slayer.
Yeah.
So like, I know folks who start Slayer at God Hates Us All. You know? And it's like, okay, I get it. Like, I love that album.
I do too.
Right? Maybe not the worst thing that happened on 9/11 that year, but right? But like, I love that album.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think that's a great album. I never tire of that one.
Yeah, and I'll tell people maybe go back and visit. I don't always recommend Diablos and Musica because I know it is such a divisive album for people, but I will always recommend Divine Intervention.
Oh, for sure.
Just because Killing Field alone, that intro with the fucking drum rolls and the 4 guitar slides. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyways, fucking Slayer rules.
Slayer's amazing. Even if they have the one that I don't like, I will still love Slayer. I will ride and die for Slayer forever. And everybody has a hiccup. It's no big deal. That's the way I see it.
Another one, and I actually had to ask my wife Amy for this one, and she was correct. She's a big fan of Rancid. She made me a fan of Rancid.
Okay.
And Out Come the Wolves.
Really?
Very divisive because it also came out in the mid-90s.
Right.
And this was, for all intents and purposes, their more commercial album.
I got you.
They got super popular with this. But if you were to ask me, and I'm a Rancid latecomer, the songwriting is all the same. Like, it's all been pretty
interesting,
pretty not stagnant, but pretty
straightforward.
Straightforward,
if you listen, so in other words, if I were to pick up before Out Come the Wolves, I wouldn't go, whose band is this?
Right? Yeah, it's you know that that's the same fucking band. You know, it's just maybe a little bit better production, a little bit cleaner.
Sure.
And I think with a lot of these albums being so divisive, that like we mentioned in the beginning, it is the cleaner production.
Sure.
A little bit more slick songwriting style, but what do you expect, especially if these people have been together day in, day out, touring, writing songs together? It's gonna get better.
Yes.
Right? So, you know, I get the complaints. I hear what they're saying, but you know, it's still the same band.
Along the same lines of that, that's something I recently discovered in the last probably 5 years when I got real deep into Bad Religion.
Yeah.
I remember when, like, the Gray One and all that is, you know, You Infect Me, and people were like, they fucking sold out, man. And I was like, yeah, because they used to be like a hardcore punk band, right? And then you listen to me like, they've always been melodic.
They've always been melodic.
They've always had great harmonies and everything. I don't now, again, production definitely got better.
Sure.
There were things that were, you know, maybe a little more melodic. They had a better hook. I give you that. But you're like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, again, and I get it. It's precious to people. They don't want the rest of the world hearing their precious little band they hold in their back pocket. And I get that. But I also can't stop an artist from being an artist who wants to change and try new things, man.
It's probably why they started writing music. They heard something and they said, I want to do that my way, which is going to always be different from the original thing that I heard.
Right.
You know, so, you know.
Now, what's interesting, too, is you get some, like, I thought of Ulver. But technically, they're never... People would love for them to make another black metal album, which is never going to happen.
Yeah.
But what a band that took such a turn and yet feels fully embraced? Depending, right?
Yeah,
like I don't feel like they get a lot of backlash.
They actually get a lot of credit for being what they become.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like oh man, they got so musical, like, you know, they didn't stick to the limits of black metal,
right?
Which is fucking crazy that people would say that shit, especially when you have I'll use another band here, like Dark Funeral,
right, you
know, which black metal from beginning to end,
no doubt.
I don't see any limitation in what they've done.
I hear,
you know,
okay.
Maybe they have their style sure.
No, I got what you mean.
But early Dark Funeral does not sound like late Dark Funeral.
Okay.
And that is a very wide track. Even Dimmu Borgir, from the beginning to what they're now, the fucking symphonic, whatever it is now, you know, that's still technically black metal, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Ulver, when they drop the black metal stylings and then they become the kind of electro pop fucking cinematic stuff that they
right,
like who knows what it is now,
I
right?
even
like I can't even say but they make fucking amazing music, and you're right, that is a band that people like look at and they're like, that's great.
I mean, again, and I wasn't privy to that, I wasn't in it at the time when they made the shift, but it just feels like I don't hear a lot of people push back on that.
You
know, other than to say again, oh, please make another black. It's like, that's never going to happen. Stop it.
Right.
You know, it's just not going to happen. They're
They're
not there anymore.
When they were going to supposedly play out here in LA, how many people were fucking disappointed? Right?
Absolutely.
And this included black metal types and otherwise.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, people were disappointed about that. So is one. That is a good one.
That's just where you talk about completely doing a 180.
Yeah.
In every sense of the word, and yet congratulated for it and praised for it. Now, maybe that's more of a sign to how amazing they actually are as artists in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they come out of the gates and their first ones are really fantastic. It's not like they had a stutter. You know what I mean? Like the first stuff they put out, you're just like, oh my God, this is really good.
Yep.
If you're into that style, you know? But another one I had was Weezer's Pinkerton.
Pinkerton, yeah.
You know? Wasn't as poppy and melodic and fun as the first one. I love it. I think Pinkerton's a fucking great album. And then you find out even he hated it at the time, didn't sell well, didn't do well, and now everybody looks back at it and goes, oh my God, it's a fucking classic, it's so amazing and everything else. And you're just like, okay, what changed?
So I lose track with Weezer after a while. Do they have an album called Ratitude?
Yeah, that's much later
So
on.
That's the one that I saw a lot of people kind of shunning.
I cannot possibly. They lost me after when they did that one, the Beverly Hills, that album. I'm done. You're just making the same record over and over again. I'm done. You know. Yeah. I think what I liked about those, like, you know, albums like Maladroit and Pinkerton was the experimentation, was the kind of, yes, these songs were poppy, yes, these songs were fun, but there was stuff going on in it, cool guitar work and stuff like that. Once it just turned into, and even he would tell you, he figured out the formula how to write a pop song. I was like, well, that's not what I'm tuning in for. You know what I mean? So yeah, I did see that too, Ratitude. I can't comment on that because I know I read, I remember buying it and like, I don't own it. So it tells you all you need to know as far as I'm concerned. I have the first 4, I think, albums. I love all of those. I listen to them a lot. That first Weezer album is fantastic, but Pinkerton was a change, you know, and it did make people kind of go, oh, I don't know about it, because they changed. They tried something different, you know what I mean? Yeah. And not just a simple second album curse. Like, they tried something different, and it turned people off. You know, another one at that same time would have been Nirvana's In Utero. You know, the grimier. Again, not a fan. I can't really speak to it in terms of, but I remember at the time, Nevermind was Butch Vig, slick, great production, overdubs, everything else. They go to do In Utero. They go with our beloved Steve Albini, and he gives you the set it and forget it, you know, and everybody goes, oh my God, what is this? Why is it so raw? Why is it so, you know,
grimy
yeah.
and dirty and
And that's what they wanted. Now, granted, in terms of sales, yes, it was less, though it's still ones that other bands would kill for sales.
for sure.
But it was less. Fans went, oh, well, this isn't what
yeah.
I tuned in for, you know? So even with a band as beloved and as revered as a Nirvana, even they turned fans off at some point
for sure.
for trying something new. And, you know, and when you look at these albums that, for lack of a better word, become divisive, but then you look back at them now with more 2020 vision, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess it's just the fans' idea of saying, this is what I love, give me another one of these. And when you don't, you find it, people, you know what I mean? So you're either somebody who wants to take the ride or you don't, you know?
Kind of going back to the different iterations of bands. Black Flag, you know, hardcore punk band. They do a number of EPs, the Damaged album.
Right.
And then they come out with My War, which I've always championed this as a very great sludge album.
Yes.
But I know they lost a big portion of their fan base
I
there.
can imagine.
Agreed, right?
Yeah.
So then when they follow it up with like Family Man, they lose even more people because the songs are getting longer, they're getting slower,
Right.
and you know, heavier. So there are also like portions of the fan base where they love everything after My War, maybe not so much the stuff beforehand. And there's also a portion of fans, maybe more marginal, that like the Family Man era type stuff, which again, I understand. I love all that shit because for me, Greg Ginn is Black Flag.
I got you.
I am one of those people.
I got
Greg
you.
Ginn is Black Flag. But then you have the newer album from a handful of years ago called What The? That's a piece of shit album.
So is that Mike Valley singing?
Mike Valley,
Okay,
Valley, and the newer lineup that is also no longer the lineup, except for Greg Ginn.
Right. Him and the 12 kids he just picked up from
Yeah,
school.
the preschool that he hired. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's there are iterations of Black Flag that I can see where the fan base is divided. I am a fan of the beginning up until the mid 80s, whenever the early 90s, whenever it was that they broke up. But that last album, the What The album, is not my cup of tea at all. Like,
And that's always a bummer, right? Like, I mean, that's the thing of it too. Is like it's a disappointment as a fan because you're like following this band and they're loving what they're doing and they're loving what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, for me, as you were saying that, it made me think of the band that I would probably equate that with is Corrosion of Conformity. Corrosion of Conformity for me is Deliverance on. Not to say I don't like Eye for an Eye and Technocracy. Actually, I will say Blind. I do love Blind. But
Thankfully.
I love The Blind and I love Blind, the album. But I will say I was tricked into Blind because the single had Pepper singing Voting with a Bullet.
Oh,
And I went, hell yeah. I pushed play and went, who the fuck is singing this song? You know, having no idea. I didn't know of Corrosion of Conformity outside of this album.
Right.
You know what I mean? So from Blind on, I very much dig that. I do like some of that other stuff, but I also know there's guys. I remember meeting a guy one time. He's like, you know, what do you like? I was like, oh, Corrosion of Conformity. He's like, fuck yeah, dude. I love, you know, Technocracy. And fuck. I was like, oh, well, I like more of the sludgier stuff, you know, when Pepper is like, oh, fuck all that shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, okay, got it. You know, and I think that's what's cool. When bands experiment, when bands change their styles, you're right. You find these iterations of fans that go, I like this era or I like that era, you know?
It's just funny because I imagine if the band were to play a show and the one era of, you know, the fan base of the one era, you know, they're cheering along and half the audience is just standing there with their arms crossed. And then when they play those era of songs, the other half of the audience crosses their hands and just kind of sits or stands there. Meanwhile, the other half is cheering along.
Well, you have to wonder, like, and again, I wasn't there for it, but that's a great point. Like, so when they put out Blind, they tour, one of the bands they tour with is Danzig.
Yep.
And you go, so they just play everything from Blind? right? Because Mike Dean's not in the band, so he's not going to sing anything from like Eye for an Eye.
Right.
So you're like, so they just had to play that album only, right? Because
Yep.
nobody else was going to play another song from the other. Because literally they had a new singer, new bass player. Pepper's brand new to the band.
Yeah.
The only thing is the drummer and the guitar player, and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then literally the next album, they're gone. Mike Dean's back, and now we're doing something completely different.
Yep.
And you're just like, so then when you did Deliverance, you just played songs from Deliverance and Voting with a Bullet?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're just like, we can't do the other ones. Maybe we can throw in a couple that Mike sang, but other than
Yeah,
that, you know?
yeah.
And it's just like, so in some ways, it's also a bold move to do because you realize when we go out on tour, like, we can't do the old shit. We got to do the
We're
new
gonna have
shit.
a very
you know?
limited set list, fellas.
And then you, like you said, so do fans show go, fuck yeah, Corrosion Conformity's in town. What the fuck are these songs?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Or some guy yelling, play Eye for an Eye, you know? And it's just like, sorry, pal, we're not doing that one, you know?
Yep, yep.
You know, but again, these are bold choices by bands to do, and I will always take the side of the artist to try new things and do things. But you definitely put yourself out there. And some bands, as we talked about, have had 3 or 4 iterations of this.
Yeah.
Some do it once, and then others, like we said, with Entombed, credit where credit is due. You know, the HM2 pedal, they've sold probably more of those thanks to Entombed than anything else.
Yeah,
And then they completely changed their sound and turned into death and roll and completely invented a genre.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so you just go like, you know, living in that moment, I get it. But now that we can look back at it, we do kind of realize some of this is kind of silly, guys. Like,
I will say, here's another band with
Please,
different
one more.
iterations.
Yeah.
Our beloved Black Sabbath.
okay,
A lot of people don't like the Ronnie James Dio era.
I am one of them.
I love Heaven and Hell,
I-
Dehumanizer, Mob Rules. Love those albums.
I think they're good albums. Don't get me wrong. And there's songs on it I like. Dehumanizer being one of the more album that I do enjoy.
Yeah.
But it's not Black Sabbath for me. That's Dio Sabbath. It's a different Sabbath
See,
altogether.
for me, it's still Sabbath.
I got you.
Because while Ozzy was a core piece of that band,
I got you. No.
to this day will always be a core piece of the band. I have to leave it up to the songwriters, the actual musical writers
you.
of the band,
I
which
got
is
you.
Iommi, Butler, and Ward.
No doubt.
You know, and whoever it was that they were going to choose to sing the songs, I was just going to accept it.
I got you.
Now, that does have a limit.
I'm with you.
When Tony Martin comes in
Yeah.
and the other people, you know, I've never heard those albums.
Again, Dehumanizer, I've definitely heard 1,000 times. I owned it at one time. I do enjoy it. It's got some great, you know, TV crimes, stuff like that. Fucking
yeah.
great songs. And Dio, hell of a dude. Not really my vocal style. To their credit, going after Dio was allowing them to expand their sound.
Sure, yeah.
And allowed them. The reality is, in many ways, it's when they became truly a heavy metal band.
Yes.
You know, is when they got Dio.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a lot of it too, is sometimes when the sound is, well, the thing I loved about the Black Album, or the reason I liked the Black Album, because in some ways, they were almost like, and that's when I was kind of starting to get into or realizing what I really liked was doom or heavy guitar. There's a lot of iterations of doomy kind of heavy guitars on that Black Album.
Sure.
You know, God That Failed and Through the Never, stuff like that. Where it's like, oh, this is dark and kind of heavy. So that was appealing to me, despite the fact that they weren't thrash. I didn't care about that anyway.
Right.
I was never a huge thrash guy anyhow, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So I think that's some of it too, is like, if that changes in a way that you like, you know what I mean? They've actually changed the lanes into a place that I enjoyed more. Like, I enjoy Heartwork more than I do Symphonies of Sickness.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I've probably heard that twice. I'm good. That's not really my thing.
Right.
Where I'm going to listen to Heartwork a million times because they changed it to a lane that I actually enjoy. You
To
know what
that
I mean?
point, you're right. That's when I do agree that's when Sabbath became more of a heavy metal band.
For sure.
And it was a version of heavy metal that I
gotcha.
particularly liked.
I got you.
know, if I were to judge the other heavy metal bands that I happen to listen to those, it's always going to be Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell. Like, if other bands try to copy the sound on that album, I would love all those bands.
I feel you.
You know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
because they don't sound for me as full, as thick, you know.
Well, I mean, again,
I
you
know.
have the Lord and God and Savior of all riffs playing. So, yes. And
That-
again,
the-
Dio's a hell of a vocalist. There's
yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt.
You know, so like, I loved it when it came out. Because that was one of the first CDs that like my dad ever got off of what was it, Columbia House.
Right on.
So I remember looking at it. I'm like, Black Sabbath, what the fuck? Like, this is the devil kind of hard rock band from
Sure.
the other shit. Like, what are these angels doing here, smoking
Right.
and gambling, right? Like, all
Who's
right.
the red baby?
Yeah, exactly. Who had a baby?
But again, they had to do what they had to do to kind of, because look, you think you and I both agree they were petering out with Never Say Die and Technical Ecstasy.
Big time.
It just wasn't working anymore, and they needed to, they
And
changed it up.
those are some of the Divisive albums within that core lineup.
For
fan
sure.
base,
The famous phrase, I even have the T-shirt, you can trust the first 5 Black Sabbath albums and yourself.
Yeah.
There are others who will push back and say, oh, no, Technical Ecstasy, and that's on you. I don't know what to tell
Right,
you.
yeah.
Those first 5, I think, are unfuckwithable, but after that,
agree.
it's just, the band's breaking apart. You can hear it.
Yeah,
And I know those are always the things, the dynamics of a band and how it can change. Like I say, the introduction of Mike Amont into a Carcass, or Anderson suddenly playing more of the Helicopter stuff, or getting more into that stuff, and does he want to put it into how much of that's going on? How much is Max getting into kind of new metal or groove metal and wanting to put that more into Sepultura,
Yeah.
Those are those things where it's just like, it's all that stuff having behind the scenes that's obviously influencing everything you're about to hear,
Yeah.
And I think one of the big differences too is remembering, like, back in the day, you put a single out, don't get me wrong, though with heavy metal, where were you necessarily going to hear those things per se? But you weren't getting them years in advance or months in advance. It was usually weeks in advance.
Sure.
The best you could do is maybe they played it live before, we're going to try out this song, but that didn't happen very often either. You know what I mean?
There was a very small window too when you would get it on like whatever musical TV there was, right? So maybe you were exposed, not you, but like maybe a person can get exposed to, Refuse Resist because of MTV or 120 Minutes or something,
sure.
right? So they have a small idea of what's coming around,
Right?
But then when you hear the album and you hear Propaganda and all this other shit, you're like, oh, this is still fucking heavy.
Fuck yes.
It's just not Arise, right. So
Right.
I get it.
Sure.
I mean, we both lived in that moment,
Yes.
So yeah, but like we both mentioned, looking back at it, I think more people look at Chaos AD and they're like, oh yeah, I did like that. I was just foolish and young.
Yes.
I should have trusted them.
Yes. I wanted to keep that in my pocket. They're not thrash enough. They're not,
Yeah.
I heard this person say one time, it's like, when I heard Arise, I thought, if they continue down this path, they could be the next Metallica. And I get that. Although, now what we know about Metallica, would you want Sepultura to turn into that?
Not at all.
So
Not
there you
at
go.
all.
You know what I mean? Sepultura had to do what Sepultura had to do,
Yeah.
right? And Metallica did what they had to do. Fine. Again, I never want to tell an artist what to make.
Right.
I didn't tell them what to make when I fell in love with you. You make whatever you want, and if I continue down the path, well, continue down the path. If not, oh well. It's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for all this great shit. I have it over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll continue on. The beauty of Sepultura, too, is now that the Cavallero brothers are back together and they keep coming out and going like, we're just going to do this one album all the way through. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So those
Fucking
albums
A,
are
man.
never dying,
Yeah. I'm super into that. I honestly, I thought the peak Sepultura was Beneath the Remains. I love that album. But when Arise came out, I was like, oh, okay, I'm wrong. Like, I'm dumb. Like, I'll just do as you will, Sepultura.
Again, now we're looking into that, and again, this will be a great one to just go down in general with Sepultura, especially, how much we revere them.
Yeah.
It's just to say, like, you really do look back at their catalog and how different every album actually was.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're going to have to do kind of a Sepultura deep dive, which might just be a Max deep dive at some
Absolutely, yes.
But yeah, you're right.
They all stand out from each other.
Morbid Visions is fucking incredibly chaotic.
Yes.
Which again, just if you judge them on that alone,
Oh, yeah.
you're on good standing.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great fucking
Yes.
introduction to that. And then you have every corresponding album after is fucking better
Yes.
musically. It's
Progressing more.
It's angrier,
Yes.
like it's just fucking.
Taking other influences, putting it in, so on and so on. I guess that's why, while as you said, I do understand some of the shock. Why is it that shocking when you look at their totality of their career and you
Yes.
see where they were progressing all the time? Now, again, it's harder to do that when you're living in that moment.
Right,
Now we can
right.
look back and go, well, Jesus, they never made the same album twice if you really think about it,
To that point,
Please.
any modern musician, whether you're older or if you're younger, if you're gonna be a fucking stalwart and be like, no, they fucking end here.
Yeah.
If you're a musician, you're most likely playing music that is influenced by a handful, not just one style of music.
yeah.
You're not just playing thrash.
No.
You're playing thrash. Modern thrash especially
yeah.
has a ton of influences,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Modern heavy metal has a ton of influences.
Absolutely.
And you can tell who, when they play, like you can hear it.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So if you're going to be fucking stick up your butt and say like, no, this is the fucking classic and it's just the first two or whatever, like you are objectively wrong, I would say, because
yeah.
you know, it's still your opinion, but
Sure,
like you're
but-
most likely playing music that is influenced by another genre, and that's influenced by something else.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can't recognize it, that's your ear's fault.
To me, that's the beauty of not to say that other genres aren't the same, but one of the things early on that I thought was so cool about heavy metal was going, what do you mean you're influenced by the Smiths?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
but you play heavy metal. You can't like them.
Yeah.
They're sad boy shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
but you go, no, dude, that influences what I do. That's awesome. And like I said, as I said early on, I will always embrace the artist willing to try something new, even if I don't follow you with it. Fine. I want an artist to grow and change and do certain things. I don't mind a band that puts the same album out 15 times. There's times I like that. That's
Sure.
fine.
Yeah.
But I always will be more intrigued by the one that's willing to put it all on the line to try something new and do something different. You know?
If we get deicide because of Little Richard and the Beatles, I'm down for that. Like
Absolutely.
you keep doing that.
Yes, thank you.
And this is whatever iteration of deicide.
Absolutely.
You know, and I know there are cut off albums
Sure.
for a lot of people.
No doubt.
You know, but if that's the result of
Yes.
fucking Little Richard and the Beatles,
Yes.
cool. Give me more of that.
Yes.
Right?
And again, these are just, it's just fun to look back at these and again, some of them, like I said, those top three that we brought up,
Yeah.
you and I love all three of those, always did. So
yeah.
I don't, we were never necessarily turned off by them. So,
Yeah.
we weren't part of that group, but I do remember hearing the moaning and the groaning about it.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And again, the other thing I thought was interesting was just to look at, there are some reviews that I read that kind of went, I was wrong. I have to go back and look at this and say, oops, boy, was I wrong.
Sure, yeah.
But there was a lot at the time that was like, I don't know what the fuss. Now, I think critics also are different people in the sense that they want to hear stuff change. They want to hear stuff progress. They've probably listened to the same 15 bands that do the same 15 things.
Yeah.
So they get excited when these new bands come in. But
I think so too,
Where
yeah.
fans want to, I get it. You just, like I said, you just heard fucking Left Hand Path and Clandestine. They could have retired after those two and they'd be one of the greatest death metal bands of all time. And yet they went, let's try something else.
Yes.
So
Totally.
good on them. I'm glad they do. And like I said, it's just fun to look back at these and kind of go like, wow, we were really in a stink over this, huh?
Yeah. So I wonder, what do some folks out there consider divisive albums? Because I know, everyone out there listens to a wide variety of music.
Are we missing any big ones, by the way?
I know we are.
I'm sure they're,
As we were talking, I know there's a Discharge album where they became kind of like a little bit more, I don't want to say glam, but a little bit more rock and rollish.
Interesting.
All
right.
Discharge, the
Certainly,
originators
yeah.
of the DB and fucking all that shit, right?
Right.
So, like, I know that there are still a lot of albums out there that we didn't necessarily focus
Okay.
on, but
Yeah.
people will point at that and be like, that's where I stopped. So what are some of yours out there?
Please.
Let us know. Please let us know. And then
Unless
maybe,
it's Sepultura hate. I don't want to hear it.
yeah,
No, I'm just
Sepultura hate. Yeah, just stop at the door. Exit the hall.
Absolutely.
So, all that, what have you been watching?
Quite frankly, not a whole heck of a lot. I've mainly just, I don't know why, just haven't really got around to it. Kids, my two youngest still live at home, so we try to do like movie nights whenever we can, but they have been busy with their own lives. So, I feel bad when I'm trying to watch something that I know that they want to watch too. So I keep saving a lot of stuff, but there is still stuff that we are checking out. The newest film I watched was the movie called Warfare. I don't know if you. So a movie came out a couple of years ago called Civil War. It was okay. Yeah, it was pretty good. It had moments that I very much enjoyed. It felt like it was trying to say, obviously a message where maybe our country is headed this way, sort of thing, where a president tries to take over.
Kristen Dunst.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
and you follow reporters that are covering this civil war that's happening in America. Had moments, but for the most part, it just felt a little like, whatever. So I heard that this guy made this one. I thought, all right. I actually really enjoyed it. It was very interesting. It's, I think, maybe an hour and a half, if that. It's kind of you're in, you're out. It's based on true story of Navy SEALs in Iraq. They go into a home. This is where they're going to set up position to cover some Marines that are going out on a mission, and everything kind of goes wrong. And it's based on their memories. Apparently, the stunt coordinator and tactical guy on Civil War is the guy who was involved in this.
Oh,
and when he
shit,
told
okay.
the story to the director's like, I want to make this for my next film.
Cool.
Really intense. I thought a lot of, obviously I've never been in combat, but from the stories you hear, the things you hear, I felt it was very realistic in the sense of nobody is made out to be necessarily a hero. They're showing them to be real human beings. Like when the shit goes bad, all they want to do is get the fuck out of there. There's nobody who wants to be Rambo.
Right.
You know what I mean? Real injuries where it's like, I'm trying to be in command, but my bell got rung so fucking hard I can barely see straight, you know, and trying to not admit that in front of your guys for fear that they're going to start to lose it if my leader guys lose, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of that. I felt also it was kind of interesting where I don't think it was trying to tell anything other than the story. There's no judgment. It's just the idea. This happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good, bad, indifferent. You can bring that to the table. But I just want to tell the story of what happened to these guys. And you know, I thought it was really good. I didn't expect much from it, but I got a lot from it, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was
Nice.
really interesting. It's on HBO right now. Like I said, you're kind of in, you're out. There's 4 or 5 people, and you're like, oh, I've seen that guy before. Okay, cool. But no huge stars or anything like that.
Okay.
And very raw. You feel like you're, you know, handheld camera kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that's the newest thing I saw, and I really enjoyed. Still new season of one of my favorite shows, Only Murders in the Building. Absolutely love that show. New season started. Fantastic. I love Steve Martin. I love Martin Short. I'll watch anything with the two of them in it. Three Amigos being one of the greatest comedy films of all time. And I love the premise of it, and I just love watching those two just be the geniuses that they are in as far as the comedic part of that. Watched one of our favorites, but I hadn't seen it in a long time, the original Running Man. Forgot how much I love that movie.
Fucking great movie.
So good. And
It's going to be remade too.
yeah, I like who's remaking it, and I like what it looks like, but I definitely still go, why don't we remake the bad films, not the good ones, you know? I feel like Running Man's a classic.
Well, it became a classic, right?
No doubt.
Like I get what you're saying, and this probably has a lot to do with the stuff we talk about music.
Please.
It's impactful to us because we caught it.
Oh, at the
time,
it was the perfect
right.
age. Absolutely,
Yeah.
you're absolutely correct. You know, there's no doubt about it. You know, are there flaws in this film? Of course, the technology does not all hold up every time. You know, don't get me wrong. I love it. You know, I want to hear Schwarzenegger give his little quips every single
Sure,
time.
every time,
I don't
yeah,
care. You know, Chainsaw getting split in half with his fucking own chainsaw through his groin is, you know, I'll take it every time. You know what I mean? Seeing him with facial hair. I remember the first time seeing him with the facial hair.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
oh, what's going on? Schwarzenegger doesn't have facial hair.
Yeah.
You know, still to this day, I'm sure if I looked it up, you'd find out, but still going like, and Mick Fleetwood and Dweezil Zappa fit in here. How exactly?
Yeah, right.
Like, what the fuck is this movie?
How are they the revolutionaries in this?
Exactly. You know, and even he has the line where he's like, "You're the people who destroyed our music and our," and you're like, because it's Mick Fleetwood they gave him that, or what? I don't understand. You know.
Yeah.
Once again, also reminded. One, and I give credit where credit is due. She's great in it. Maria Conchita Alonso is fantastic in the movie, and one of the, I think, underrated, stunning beauties of that time. She unbelievably beautiful in that movie, and just she's such a great role in it. The things she says and the way she talks to him, and then her getting thrown into the whole thing, you know, is very cool. I just love that movie, and I forgot and Richard Dawson is. He's amazing.
Killian, yeah.
I don't know how much acting he was actually doing because it sounds like he was kind of a prick anyway.
He was just kind of hamming it up. You put a camera in front of him, he's going to just take off. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
He's going to get drunk and do his thing.
And then I love the thing I think most people dig. When they give him his classic line of "I'll be back," and he gets to volley that back with "Only in reruns, pal," you just go, "Oh, dude, you're not supposed to do that to Schwarzenegger. That's his line," and it's so perfect, you know. But you know, I always enjoy that one. But other than that, the Bourne movies 1 and 2,
All right.
I love those. They're so good. great action, good story. You definitely are. I'm in for a penny and for a pound with all of them. Very much like those. And then the last two things we continue to watch as a family, the Peacemaker show, still fantastic. I'm very much loving that. And then Alien Earth, still digging that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
How about yourself?
Couple of things. We watched a movie called Together.
Oh, okay. Alison Brie and
apparently her husband Dave.
The good one,
The
not
good
his
one,
brother
not
who's
the-
been ousted
not
to the
James.
cornfields.
Yeah, Dave Franco. Yeah.
Yes.
Very kind of outlandish.
Yeah.
Amy did say it was a kind of a hyper look at toxic relationships, and I have to agree because there are times where you're just like, what the fuck
Right,
is this?
right.
You know.
Even some body horror in there.
Body
right?
horror, yeah. There is some scenes where I won't give it away.
No,
but
no,
there
please.
there are some scenes where like they're basically doing it and they get stuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like they show where they get stuck.
Okay.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? And this is happening like at a school, at little young kids in the bathroom, you know.
my God.
And I'm just like, what is this shit? But yeah, it's a cool movie. It is body horror, a little bit of like mystical shit going on there.
Right.
But it is cool, very entertaining, very quick. You know, I didn't know that they were married before this, and
Oh, I had no idea.
apparently they got married, and all they do in real life is take mushrooms and fuck a lot.
Oh,
So,
interesting. Okay.
You know, God bless them
Hey,
in their
hey,
relationship.
I can't blame him.
I do think Dave Franco is a bit of an over actor, I think.
Okay.
Sometimes some of his delivery, I'm just like, God, man, you
Yeah.
don't have to yell like that.
He's one of, whether he's in it or not, I don't really, I've never gone like, oh, Dave Franco's in this. No, I've never.
I do like him.
I like him
him
and
in
stuff. It's just to say,
the 21 Jump Street
Yes.
remake. I love him
I
in
liked
that.
him in that.
He is really good.
Neighbors, I thought he was good.
Neighbors, yeah.
But there's not. There's never a. Oh, this is a Dave Franco joint. I gotta see this. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, interestingly enough, do you know the controversy of this movie?
No.
So I did not either. Michael, my son, alerted me to this because I thought, number one, this is so cool and what an original idea.
Yeah.
Apparently not. Apparently somebody's already made this movie, and one of them, either Franco or Brie, was actually attached to it at one point and sat down with them and said, "Nah, we're good," and then went and made this.
What?
Yes. In fact, there's an album, right? Is it the Spice Girl album that they love? Or
Spice Girls, yeah.
Right. That other movie, literally, it's a Spice Girls album that they fight over and that they both love.
No shit.
Yeah, which now apparently the person who made this other movie, this one that you saw, swears up and down this is not true and that he has the proof to show that he had this written long before, but there's a bit of controversy on this one. Yeah, because mainly because I remember watching it. As you know, I like to watch the previews every Monday when Rotten Tomatoes puts them out.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing this for a while and going, not only is this cool, but how original. And of course, now this is biting me in the ass. Apparently, it's actually not as original as you thought it was, Aaron.
Right.
But nonetheless, I am excited to see it. I know somebody else who saw it. They very much enjoyed it too.
Really cool movie. Also, Reptile.
Oh, yes.
Justin Timberlake.
Yes. Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro, yeah, and Alicia Silverstone.
Yes.
For those interested, she,
Still
as I'm
beautiful.
told, still beautiful. Benicio del Toro, also still beautiful.
Yes, he is.
That was a cool movie. I have to say it's very. I want to say entrancing because the more it went on, I thought everybody was guilty.
Sure.
And then when it finally reveals it, I'm just like, wow, you fucking piece of shit. You know, like it's such a good movie.
It really is.
Underrated.
Underrated. I know Netflix promoted it, and I was very excited to see it. We watched it when it premiered, I think a couple years ago or a year ago, and we've all really enjoyed it. And I'm surprised you don't hear more about it.
Yeah, so am I. It was that good. Honestly, it maybe not to the same extent, but for me, it's along the lines of being as good as a movie like Prisoners.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Because you got the cast.
Dude.
It's a great fucking story.
It's very dark and
Very
places.
dark.
Yeah. Great.
Almost noirish.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
I would stay out of my mind. Yes. There is a noirish feel to it, for sure.
Yeah. I love the feel of it. Just the storytelling is great. But yeah, Reptile was entertaining as hell. We started watching a show called The Task.
Oh, I am very stoked
with
for this.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yes,
It
HBO,
is
right?
Fucking great.
I heard from another podcast that no one should listen to, but until they listen to ours first. But the person said, and I was like, "This is a bold fucking statement, my friend." But he said he got a three what do you call them? Episode preview.
Yeah.
He said he believes it's the best thing HBO has done since the first season of True Detective.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. We've only seen the first episode.
I gotcha.
There is so much story thrown at you in
Okay.
this first episode.
Okay.
You honestly don't. When you start it and where it ends, you got no idea how
Okay.
you got there.
I'm excited
It's
for it. It looks
fucking
so
great.
good.
It is
and it was
really
made
good.
by the same ones that did the Mayor's, the Kate Winslet's one, where she's
Yeah,
the cop.
mayor of
Can
something
never,
town.
something, yes.
Yeah,
And my wife and I watched that. We both very much enjoyed
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Thought
that was a great
really
one.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ruffalo is one of those guys, like, he's a person, unlike Mr. Franco. I see Ruffalo and I go, okay, now you caught me. You know, you got
Amy
my
as well.
attention.
That's like her fucking
I
boyfriend
think
apparently.
he's a great actor, and I think this looks really like suited for him.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. This is
Good,
such a
good,
great fucking
good. I'm glad to
series.
hear this.
Yeah.
We're going to wait. We talked about it because right now our Sunday night is Alien and Peacemaker. We talked about by the time those are done, most of Task will be up, so we'll probably be able to kind of binge it a little bit.
Yeah, I HBO does the weekly kind of release thing.
Yes.
So that's cool because it keeps us kind of catch it and then
Yes.
go off to something else.
Yes.
In our case, that something else was introducing me to the series known as I Think You Should Leave Now. I had not watched this.
Oh,
Tim Robinson?
Yes.
So Amy
Yes.
knows about it. You know about it. I think.
Yes.
I did not. I did not. So I don't know if finally or recently got audio description.
Oh, okay, good.
It is so fucking
Dude.
funny. It is hilarious.
There are moments though too where I'm like, I'm not laughing, but I am enjoying this.
Yes,
Because I'm also
yeah.
like, I'm not sure what the fuck's going on right now, dude.
Totally.
Like, what a waste. Like, what I love is this guy was on Saturday Night Live for like a year, and they
Okay.
barely used him.
Yeah.
And you go like, yeah, see, get rid of him. Fuck him. And then he does this, and you go, oh, I see why Saturday Night Live couldn't use him. Because this would never fly on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, and
This
I'm-
is so of its own thing.
I am so glad this exists.
Oh, God, yes.
He is fucking hilarious. And like you said, I find myself cracking up at some of the segments.
Oh, absolutely.
And then other ones, I'm laughing just because of how fucking awkward it is.
Yes.
And I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if I should just walk into a different room or just make a, all right, you know, like it's so fucking good.
You've got to figure out who did this.
yeah, it is really fucking
Well,
hilarious.
it's caught on, too, because now it's memes. That
Okay.
the hot dog suit and everything else, those are all memes now. You
Okay,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Oh, no. That,
Yeah, so
yes.
we watched, I forget which we watched, and then we watched the first season, I think.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to be on the second
Right
season
on.
now. So,
Right on.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
It's
fucking
tremendous.
great.
It's so that kind of weird comedy up there with like Nathan For You, where you're like, in a million years, if you put me in a room, I could never come up with this kind of shit. Who are these people? They're so one style creative minded in what they do. And
Also,
it's amazing.
Nathan Fielder and a little bit of kind of Tom Greenish.
Yes.
Kind of
Oh,
in there.
for sure.
Yeah,
For
you know,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you're, dude.
Yeah, I'm
better
I'm
late
loving
than
that
never,
one.
my friend.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
fantastic.
so fucking glad. I think I mentioned it to you before. I did watch Godzilla -1.
Yes.
I know you had your thoughts about it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, in my opinion, best Godzilla movie fucking ever.
Right on.
I fucking cried like a baby at the end.
Lots of critical praise. People very much enjoy it. I mean,
Yeah,
overall,
yeah.
people have really said how amazing it
Solid
is.
story.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's great storytelling.
I gotcha.
I envy all you motherfuckers who can see this movie. Because I would love just to see what he looks like. Because he sounds fucking
And look,
gigantic.
the visuals are fantastic. All like I say, the movie is a good movie.
Yeah.
It's more me than the movie.
Sure.
I thought I was going to watch Godzilla destroy Japan, and there are moments of that, but it's not. The story is tangential to Godzilla. Godzilla
Right.
is the mechanism in which to tell these other stories.
Sure. Yeah,
so that's more on me. When I look at it from that perspective, I go, "This is really good," and they do a great job of it.
Yeah, yeah.
No doubt about it. But
Yeah,
I just
I
I
fucking
wanted to watch
loved
him
it.
stomp people out.
I loved. I mean, he does.
And he does.
You know,
So
you know.
you get it. the whole
When
scene.
he wipes out, I'm not gonna try the name of the town.
yeah, no.
But there is a town that he wipes out,
Right.
or that it wipes out. Godzilla
Yes.
wipes out. And the first nuclear breath blast that he does, and it
Fuck
kind of
yeah.
wipes out the grill also. I'm like, what is this? Because it hits and then it sucks all the air back into it. Basically, it destroys the oxygen, much like the band Oxygen Destroyer. Anyway, fucking great. Just the sound was fucking terrific. Godzilla sounded gigantic, and I loved it. And when he roared, it made my heart swell with love. I loved it. Yeah. But yeah. So Godzilla -1. If you know about it and if you've seen it, you are goddamn lucky that you got to see it. I wish I could see it with you, but I did listen to it, and it fucking rules.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. What have you been listening to?
To be honest, not a lot of new stuff. I have been kind of going backwards a little bit and just kind of listening to stuff that I've either just been listening to or just finding, one band in particular that I went back to. I believe, lead singer, guitar player of it, Chuck from Deadbird, had posted, I guess, the first album. He'd kind of come across some old tapes of it and was kind of reminiscing. And I just like, you know what? I have not heard Deadbird in too long. So
Deadbird is great.
I love Deadbird.
Yeah,
and that first album, especially The Head and the Heart, I love that record.
Yeah.
As I've told him and another guy that's in the band, I'll never forget, I believe it was Revolver Magazine did a review on it, and I think it said something like, Neurosis from the Swamps, or like if Neurosis and Crowbar had a baby, and I was like, that's all I need. I'm in.
Yeah.
And I searched and searched and searched for that. I don't know how many CD stores I went into, and, yeah, do you carry a Deadbird? And they looked at me like I was a fucking psycho, and it's just like...
You find those outside in the alley.
And it's like, no, we do not. So I ended up, having to order it. But, man, the rawness of that album, the heaviness of it, the emotion of it, I fucking love. Their other albums are the 3 albums are fantastic.
Yeah,
and he alluded to the fact that they have a 4th. They're just waiting on to record, so I'm very excited for that.
Nice.
Another one that I revisited, they had announced a new album and a tour, which is Primitive Man, one of my all-time favorite bands. So I definitely went down a rabbit hole with them and just, oh, God, they're so fucking good in so many ways, and the emotions they stir up is just, oof.
Yeah.
But I very much fucking love them. Again, still on a very big kick of that band Enemy Mine, and along those same lines, Engine Kid. I can't keep spinning those. I'm really loving them more and more and more. I don't know, something about them. I'm not going to apologize. It's just to say that.
Another Anderson, very talented Anderson.
Yeah,
like that, right?
very much so. And it's just, I don't know why I didn't give that Engine Kid a spin sooner, but I'm glad I've been into it. And then finding that was one of those, recommended from Last FM. If you like them, you may.
I gotta tell you, when you go back to those bands, like I love Engine Kid. I have liked Engine Kid for a while. It makes me glad to know that you're going back and rediscovering these things. Like with who was the other band? There was another kind of emo screamo band that you got into recently too. I mean, we'd have to go back a couple episodes. But there was another band that you were talking about that I was just like, hell yeah, man! I'm glad you fucking got into this band.
It's one of those things where it's like, look, I try to, I've kind of given up on trying to keep track of everything that comes out now, especially when there's so much stuff in the past that I've missed.
Yeah.
I am at fault of just kind of, once I got into a genre or a certain style of music, I just immerse myself in it and kind of push everything else out. So I've missed a lot, And then there's just stuff where when I like something and I go, well, what is that influence? Oh, it's all this? Oh, okay, let me go backwards and see what all that is. And you just go, wow, where was all this? So yeah, I just, I try to keep a foot in both, try to listen to new stuff, but also try to go backwards a lot, because so much of it I missed because, quite like I said, I was just too entrenched in, doom or black metal to bother to listen to anything else at the time.
Cursed. Cursed is who I was
Cursed.
thinking of.
Oh, fucking love them. I love Cursed. They were a couple weeks ago. I have that first and second album. Dude, fucking love them. They're so good. It's just like, and again, it is this weird, like, there are plenty of other ones where they're like, well, if you like them, you're going to love. And I go, no, that one just doesn't hit, Another one along those same lines, one that you pushed on me, was Graf Orlock. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking
Graf
great.
Orlock
Plus
is
they
fucking
use
great.
fucking, movie clips up the ass, which is just like you already got, I'm at 75% in just on that.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, like I said, I try to keep an ear open to everything. You and I both share that in many ways.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. Normally I'm trying to, find new stuff all the time, but this time I was really stuck on a lot of the older stuff. Another one of my favorites that I went back to, Jimmy Rogers, one of the original country stars, the yodeling cowboy. He's got a bunch of different little names. Very short period of time that essentially, I think the story goes he was a railroad guy and found out he had tuberculosis and said, well, then fuck all this. I always wanted to sing and be a singer anyway. Now, what's interesting is if you listen to his stuff, I think more people would go, isn't this more blues? And in a way, it actually is more than what we understand to be country now.
Right,
You know what I mean? But I don't think it's for everyone. The voice alone, I think, would probably turn some people off.
Yeah.
But I really dig him, and it's just cool. Plus, it has that, without trying, obviously, because it is very old, but that scratchy, old-timey feel to it where you're almost like, man, this is like a different world this was recorded in, let alone a different time, And that's another one I always go down. He's one of those artists because of his short time. Everything's a compilation, essentially. There's no album per se,
Right,
what I mean? So you just throw on a compilation of his, and it's like 25 songs, and you can go through the whole thing. He's got one song on that's got this trumpet player at the time nobody had ever heard of, and it goes on to be Louis Armstrong.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly. I learned that through a podcast I was listening to. I didn't know when the first time I heard that. I was like, oh, cool little trumpet player. Found out later, it was Louis Armstrong before Louis Armstrong was Louis Armstrong.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, just to show you how old this guy, how far back it goes. And also interesting at a time where, granted, in other places, I'm sure those two would never be in the same room together based on their color. But here, as artists, it was like, I don't care, dude. You play a hell of a horn. Bring it on in. Let's rock and roll,
Music breaking boundaries.
Absolutely, even in small ways like that.
Yeah.
Other than that, again, some other classics, stuff that some Tad, stuff like that. But yeah, I try to find newer stuff, but just nothing was clicking, and I was just really stuck on some of this old stuff. How about yourself?
Not too much stuff. A lot of it is more in kind of memoriam.
Okay.
John Prine.
Right.
My father-in-law recently, unfortunately, passed. He was big into John Prine.
Oh, right on.
And I got to listen to him a bit more.
Okay.
Just because
Sure.
he's in our minds.
I got you.
But I wasn't really too familiar with his music.
I'm not either, which, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised because of the stuff that he does.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
one of those ones, he's on my list because when he passed, I'll be completely honest with you, I was like, I think I've heard that name, but to watch people go like, oh my goodness, I was like, wait,
Same.
what am I missing out on?
Same.
Here? How did I not hear this guy?
So Amy's family, they're all fans, and after my father-in-law passed, I kind of did a little bit of deep dive.
Right on.
He has a self-titled album. I think that's his first album
Okay.
in the 70s.
Okay.
Fucking great album.
Awesome.
Great fucking album.
Okay.
Some really melancholy songs.
Right on.
His voice just fucking gets you when it
Okay.
gets you.
Okay.
So anything that he does, even up until when he passed a few years back,
Right.
it's fucking hooks and great music, great singing.
Right on.
Super talented.
Yeah.
Favorite song is Hello in There.
Okay.
That song will make me tear up any day of the week.
Okay.
I did also find a band called Master Boot Record.
Okay.
For some reason, I went on a little industrial or blackened industrial kick.
Right on.
And this band kept getting mentioned a lot.
Okay.
So they are instrumental.
Okay.
I don't necessarily hear the blackened part, maybe
Okay.
because there's guitar and drums.
Sure.
But it's fucking cool. And a lot of their songs are based off of Windows commands and prompts.
Okay.
So like you have like C, DOS, config. That's the name of one of their songs.
Interesting.
Yeah. Boot, fucking .exe or whatever the fuck, Yeah, it's fucking cool shit.
Do they have one called Clippy?
System.exe, erase.
I don't think that's the word you meant.
Yeah, it's fucking catchy. They have a handful of albums, maybe like 4 or 5.
Right on.
Not that old either. Maybe
Okay.
mid 2000s
Oh,
to now.
shit.
Yeah. So it's pretty new, but I was not aware of them.
No.
And it's cool stuff.
Right on.
Cool stuff. The last one, and I do kind of want to take a moment on this one, if you don't
Please.
mind. Recently, Thomas Lindbergh
Yes.
from At the Gates passed away. So that prompted me to listen to as much of his voice as possible.
Right on.
I am a big At the Gates fan. Also loved him in The Crown,
Mm-hmm.
Lurking Fear, Grotesque, fucking Skid System, Dysphere. I've been listening to all this shit nonstop.
I hear you.
Last time I saw At the Gates was at Psycho in Vegas.
Right
They
on.
played in a pool
Oh, right on.
of all fucking places, right?
Summer of the soul.
But yeah, it was, it's always great hearing such a fucking talented voice.
Sure.
And even if he didn't have the range that other vocalists have,
I hear you.
you could always tell, like,
Yeah.
much like Max.
Yeah,
When you hear
right.
Max's voice, it's going to be a good song.
I'll take an individual singer over a overly talented singer any day of the week.
Agreed.
One that I can pick out right away.
Agreed.
Somebody who's unique.
Yeah,
I'll take that over somebody who can hit every note on the chart. I don't care.
Yeah. And he had re-recorded an album with The Crown.
Right on.
I think Crowned Unholy was his version of it, or maybe it's Crowned in Terror. Somebody please correct me. But man, what a fucking pair of lungs on that guy, and
Big bummer.
yeah, big bummer. Passed away due to throat cancer, age of 52.
Yeah, that's
So
way too young.
yeah, way too young, and from all accounts, one of the nicest people.
Good to know.
Yeah, I did run into him a couple times in the past, and he was a very stand-up gentleman.
Right on.
Very
That's good
thankful for people even listening to his music. So yeah, he's gonna be missed.
For sure.
But yeah,
he
so
left a mark. There's no doubt about it.
big mark. Yeah, and one of the last things he did was, I guess, At the Gates had one more album that they had been working on.
Okay.
He recorded his vocals all in one day, and then went to get treatment for his cancer.
Oh, wow.
And then he passed away.
Oh, wow.
So they have, I don't know if they're demo versions or the final takes of his
Sure.
voice
Sure.
for the last album. Yeah. So what a fucking way to go, right? What
Hey.
a way.
There are worse ways, man. But god dang it. It's
Yeah,
52,
yeah.
52 just too young. And that was, I know they had released a statement like 3 or 4 weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
Kind
like
of
a month
alluding
ago.
to
Yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah.
something, but they didn't. I didn't read the whole thing. So for me, it was really a shock to wake up
Yeah,
and be
yeah.
like, wait, what? Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it
And
was-
again, not the world's biggest fan, certainly not like you are, but I definitely threw on Slaughter of the Soul. I was like, at the very least,
Yeah,
I need to
yeah.
listen to this in honor of that guy, just for, again, the impact that,
Yeah.
he's a part of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super bummer.
I do remember one of the times I was pissed at the Gates show.
Mm-hmm.
Amy and I went to go see them on the comeback tour.
Okay.
They played at the Fonda Theater,
Right on.
and it took about an hour to come out.
Oh, good Lord.
And we were just like, God damn, I can't stand no more, because we were standing up front,
Sure.
and it was hell to stand there for a whole hour until they
God,
came
yeah.
out. But when they came out, it was well worth it because At the Gates, always a perfect band.
Right on.
But yeah, so that was those three: John Prime, Master Boot Record, and everything Tompa related.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks, folks, for checking this out. Let us know what you've been listening to, but let us know what albums you think are decisive,
Please.
because we'll probably agree or not agree.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, catch you next time.
Later.
Howdy, folks. Thank you so much for spending time with us here at the rehearsal room. If you've got any recommendations you'd like for us to check out, whether it's a band, a movie, or anything else you think we'd be interested in, you can write to us at therehearsalroompod@gmail.com, all one word. We're also over on Instagram or Facebook, or even YouTube. You can also find us on any of the popular platforms for podcasts. And if you happen to know anybody that would be interested in any of the subjects we're talking about, please make sure to refer this show over to them. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to us, and we'll catch you soon.